Hello, welcome back. Nigel with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. And as you can see on the bench we have the Hachette Lancaster bomber B.III, built the Dam Buster bomber. And this is the revisited series, so this is where we're going back and repainting and modifying bits and pieces and adding stuff. So this is part 8, and this is the magazine from pack 8, so it's quite appropriate. And basically what we've got in here is the starboard side of the fuselage. We've got a fuse panel there, we've got a couple of windows, some bits and pieces down here which all have to go in to the starboard side of the fuselage. As you can see, we've got this panel going in here, we've got this panel in here, we've got the drift sight going together, then that goes in, and then we're fitting an oxygen economizer, and then over the page here we've got that big fuse panel going in, then we're onto the outer panel, fitting those little windows, and then that's it, that's done. And you can see here they've shown you the finished articles. So I've gone on and done that off camera because basically fitting parts, you know, gluing parts into the side of the fuselage, you've seen me do it a million times. So there we are. So that's that starboard fuselage panel finished, and you can see I've added some decals up here, I've added some decals up there, I've added one there, and I've put some gloss clear coat on the drift sight there. So there we go. I must look at my references to see if that actually has a decal on it as well, but we shall see. But basically, yeah, these are still the Airscale US Army Air Force decals. So there we go. And then as for the outer panel, you can see here we fitted the windows. They were all glued in using the Big Ammo Ultra Glue, and then we've repainted the inside in the green and gone over the top with the black. We also went around the side of the windows with a black pen so you don't get that chrome image around the edge. So there we go. So that's that repainted, and then when that sits in there, that is going to go something like that in there. So you can see it's all lovely. Okay, so that's all gone together, and hopefully you can see there the improvement to the engineer's panel. When you look at the magazine and you look at mine, it's we've made some improvements there. So all good stuff. Happy with how that's all come out. So that's pack 8 done. So now we need to look at pack 9. Now all of these packs, 9, 10, I think 11 as well, they're all quite complex. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get out 9. What comes in 10, I'm going to get out 10 as well. I'm going to explain what I'm going to do. This is the professional way of presenting. This is the way, if you look at the news, this is how they do it. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to tell you what I've done. So in pack 9 we have this bulkhead here which goes directly behind the pilot seat being here. If you haven't seen this, go take a look. It's all very, very nice, and bits and pieces added and stuff. So that panel there is going to go in. And then we've got 09B, which is the G display for navigator. And then we've got a parachute holder, we've got the parachute, we've got a fire extinguisher, and then we've got 09G, this is a G receiver, and 09H is the bubble sextant, that's the sextant box. Right, that was made of bakelite, so that was sort of like a whole red colour, so we're going to repaint that. This is not G, this is not G, this is H2S. So you've seen some Lancasters, I don't know if there's any pictures in here, of a Lancaster with a bulge in the bottom. No, there's a big bulge in the bottom, sort of just behind the bomb bay. That's the H2S radar, and that's what this is. Now the Dam Busters didn't have that, so they've called this a G because basically the G goes on this bulkhead, and what they're doing in here is they're fitting what they call the H2S. I think they do it in the next one, don't they? I think they do it in this one. Yeah, they're calling that the H2, the fish pond indicator. 10B, the wireless accumulators. 10D is the air position indicator. Okay, so we're still not doing that bit yet. Okay, so it's obviously then in the next part, is it? I think we're going to have to cover 9, 10 and 11 in one part. Yeah, they're calling this the H2S scope unit support and the H2S scope unit here. Well, that is actually the G. This is the G. That was mounted on that bulkhead, this one here, and then when they introduced H2S, they moved the G up to the side where you'll see it being fitted here. Okay, that's where the G was put upon this bulkhead. It should all become clear in a minute. In fact, if I turn the page, you'll see, here we go. You can see here we have this is the G, this is the H2S. They've got it the wrong way around in their description. The mouldings are correct, but they've just called it the wrong thing. So what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of the H2S because we don't need it. We're going to cut away that support because we don't need it. And we're going to fit the G there. And then on the bulkhead here, there will be nothing. Some early Lancasters had a receiver there for the navigator, the same as the wireless operator has over here. But some had nothing. So we'll just leave this one bare. The other thing we're going to do is on the, this is in part 10, I think. On the table, you can see we have this ramp, and that is for the fish pond indicator type 182A. The fish pond indicator was part of the H2S system, so that wasn't there either. So we're going to have to get rid of that lump, flatten the table, and there will be nothing there. Okay, we're also going to paint in that little deep, 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 deep. What's it called? Yeah, that thing. These power units, we're just going to leave them as they are because that's going to be absolutely fine. And we'll do some cleanup of the seams. We've got some flash around them. 10D is the air position indicator that can stay. We'll put some nice decals in there. So so there we are. So in this one, I think we're going to look at 9, 10, and maybe 11, or maybe we'll sort of have 9, 10, and 11 going into part 8 and 9. We'll see how we get on. So first things first, pack 9. That is going to go. What's that there? Oh, no, that's the G display for navigator. Yeah, that's going to go. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that. That's going to go. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that. That's got to be painted in a brass colour. This pillar here has got to be removed because that was put there. You can see these two bars. This was added when the H2S was introduced to support the weight of the radio, and that was actually attached to the canopy framing. So earlier models didn't have that. If you look at pictures of dambuster Lancs, I don't know if there's one in here, you will clearly see, no, there isn't one here, you will clearly see that that frame is not there. You can't clearly see in any of these pictures, unfortunately. Okay, so if you go and look at your references, you will see that that pillar is not there on Lancasters of the dambuster ilk. So there we go, so that'll be gone. So let's get the parts out for pack 9 and we'll have a look at what we're going to modify. As far as painting goes, what I intend to do is leave all the painting until we've done 9, 10 and 11. So there may be no painting in this one, maybe it'll all be cutting and stuff and changing stuff around. As far as painting details like this, I'll probably do that because that's got to be painted brass. Nothing else has got to be painted brass. But there's no point in me cutting all this about and painting it green and then in the next part do another little bit of green and then the next part do another little bit of green. I may as well do all the green together. So we'll probably paint that and that in this video, but nothing else. Right, let's get the parts out and see where we go from here. Okay, so we have all the parts out for pack 9, and as you can see, I've just assembled, this is the H2S radio or equipment, which is on this bulkhead, and this bulkhead is basically going to sit on the cockpit floor, just like that behind the pilot's seat there. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. And as I say, this is incorrect for our dambuster, so this can all be kept separately. We'll take the parts apart, there we go, and we can keep all these in a bag as our unused parts. Okay, now on this panel here you can see we've got ejector pin marks 1, 2, 3, 4 on there. They're mainly under the table, but I would recommend removing this one because that one will be visible when you look down inside. So I'm just going to take a knife and I'm going to try and sort of scrape most of it away. It's a very hard plastic they've used in these. It's a very nice material to work with actually. It's kind of, it's hard, but it's not like tough, if you know what I mean. It's not like Hachette plastic, which is very hard and tough. It sands easily, it sands nicely, but it's quite hard material to cut. So there we go, so that's that one gone. The rest will be hidden underneath the table because the table is going to sit on top here. Now you can see on here we have a mould seam. We're going to get rid of that, just sand that away. We'll have a mould flange around the edge of there, so we'll get rid of that. There's a mould seam on the top there, so we'll get rid of that. And then that is that. Okay? Right. And then we're just going to soften those edges where the moulding lip will be. And we'll just take away that little edge there. Okay, so there we go. So that's our bulkhead basically ready to paint. Now we need to modify it and remove this post. Now I'm just going to show you, these are the border model instructions. Just to confirm what I'm telling you, I'm not talking a load of rubbish. You can see here that this is for the G and this is for the H2S. And you can see we have a little platform on a pillar. This is that, as you look at the instructions now, this is that panel there, okay? So we have that bulkhead there, and what they're telling us to do is remove this post here at the level there. Okay, so what we're going to do is literally come along and remove that post. Okay, so that's that. And then we can use a rule just to check our length. So that is just over 6 millimeters, and that's 7 millimeters. So we need to lose another millimeter off of there. There we go, that's the same length now. I'm going to grab a flat sanding stick and just sand them so they're the same sort of height. And then that piece can go in the bin. Okay, so that's that modified. And as you can see here, we've got the G radio going in, and here this is all the H2S, and this is the piece that goes up to the canopy. So there we are, so that's that done. Now when we look at all this H2S equipment, we're not using any of it. What we need to do is look forward to, I think it was in pack 11, wasn't it? Where we have the, yeah, they're calling that the H2S scope unit, it's actually the G. That's going to sit on that little platform there. So it's 11D and 11E. So when we come forward to here, you can see we've got this little platform. We may use that on here and then drill up through and fit it on there. Okay, so I will I'll let you know when we get there. And what we're going to have to do is get the parts for 11, which I believe are here. Yes, they are. So what we're going to have to do is get the, this is the G, and that is the support. So we can put all the rest of this away. Keep all the parts together for identification purposes. Now you can see on the top of there we've got a nasty sprue gate, which is actually, when it's been broken off, it's gone to the surface, so we're going to have to do a bit of filling. So what we'll do there immediately, straight away, we're going to add, oh, my super glue is all drying out. I'm just going to add some super glue to there to get that corner back, because that is, it's like directly, it's like right in your eyes. When you have the cockpit canopy, it's there, it's right in your eyes, so it needs to be nice. Now that mounts onto this, and then this in turn is going to go onto here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to drill this and make that fit onto there. We'll get rid of this raised bit here, and we're going to make that fit in there, and then that is going to sit on the top of it. So let me just do some measuring up, get some drills out, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so with that cut off and sanded off and everything, we've got this piece here. I've removed that little lump that was on the bottom that was for mounting on the bulkhead. That goes at the back. Okay, so make sure when you drill it, and you want it to come as far forward and swiveled around, so it needs to be as far forward as possible this way, and it needs to be swiveled round as far as you can. So that's what we've done there. Now I've pilot drilled 2.7, no, not 2.7, 2 times 0.7mm holes. So I'm just going to go in now with a 1.3mm drill. These are eventually going to be drilled out to 2mm. And there we go. So we could just check that we're roughly there on the spacing. It's looking pretty handy. And then I've got here a 2mm drill, so I'm going to go straight in with the 2mm drill at the front. Okay, and then again at the back. There we go. Couldn't get much closer, could I, at the back? So there we go, that's going to go onto there like that. Okay, so that's our platform sat on there, and then this, our G set, is going to sit on the top like that. So now you can see we've got our G radio on that bulkhead now. So that's one pretty, if you're new to it all, it's going to be a pretty awesome task for you to do, but it's going to be well worth the effort due on the accuracy front anyway. And this is not knocking Hachette and the way the kit's designed or made or whatever. Lots of manufacturers do the same, make the same mistake. So in fact, even if you look at one of the early shots of the wingnut wings, which became the Border Models Lancaster, they actually had the H2S, I think, in the dam buster. So there you go. That was probably just a test shot that the person was building had never probably seen a Lancaster in his life. The common errors that people make with Lancasters is having all this radio gear in there with no H2S on the fuselage. That's one. Painting all the interiors of the turrets black. That's two. Painting the nose area black. That's three. Putting late wheels and tyres on early Lancasters. That's another mistake people make. Yeah, there's lots of little mistakes, and there's mistakes that manufacturers make as well. So that's that modification done. What we could do now is fit that, glue it. I mean, what we could do actually is put this, I'm being careful of that super glue, we could put this on the bottom of here. I'm just wondering, let me get some accelerator on that bloody super glue and dry it out. Pain. I wish they hadn't taken that great chunk out of it when they took it off the sprue. This VMS stuff takes ages to go off, even with the accelerator on it. You can see it's still wet now. As you all know, usually accelerator will go off instantly. Still wet. What I'm wondering is if I can get in here and remove some material from the radio box. I keep calling it radio, I'm sorry, but it's just my terminology. And make that fit over. Yeah, we're not going to be able to do that at the back, so it's going to have to. Okay, what we're going to have to do then, we're going to have to fit this. We're going to have to glue this in place. Now, I'm not sure if Tamiya extra thin. I saw Scott's part 6 yesterday. He was using Tamiya extra thin. I'm not sure if it'll work or not. It certainly appears to, although I'm not sure, does it or not? We'll see. If it doesn't work, we'll put some super glue on there. I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to have to trim off this pin at the back here and the one at the front, I expect. So the radio will go down nicely. Radio, listen to me. We should be able to sand this super glue now. Like a green plastic. It's weird. And then we're going to cut these pins off the side because we don't need them. Need to sand them away. There we go. We've got a lovely detail down the side there with the cooling holes. And there we go. We've got a little mould imperfection there, so we'll just sand that away. And now that's ready for a fresh coat of paint. On the front here we'll pick out those switches. That big display is dark green, so we'll pick that up as well. And that is going to sit on there like that once we trim those posts off. Okay, here we go. If you don't feel confident enough to do this, don't do it. Okay, you know, if you're not worried about accuracy and stuff to this degree, don't risk ruining your model. But if you do feel confident, then fill your boots, because it's well worth doing. Just cleaning that up there. There we are. That one needs cleaning off as well because it's interfering with the fit of the unit. There we go. All ready to be glued on once it's all painted. So there we are. Now that's going to sit behind a pilot seat like that, and we no longer have H2S. Alright, so I just want to show you this panel as those decals have settled down. You can see I'm not going to bother putting any gloss coat on them because they've got a nice glossy finish already. I just want to grab a cotton bud and just give them an extra little push just to help them go down. I've wet the cotton bud so it doesn't stick to the decals, but there we go, you can see they're in place. So hopefully you'll agree that overall the extra bit of work we've put into that is paid off, because it's vastly improved the look of the part. We've got the brown oil on there, we've painted the silver buckle, we've done all that painting and added decals and placards and everything to there. We've added instruments here. It's all had a dry brush. So yeah, we also painted that little accumulator thing at the front there, didn't we? So all in all, I think that looks a vast improvement over the standard. But saying that, what you get as standard is lovely. And I'm just looking at this here, and that super glue has not actually worked to hold these bits in place. So that's a bit weird. I'll have to try some extra thin on those, I think. Anyway, there we go. So happy with that. On the subject of decals, Peter over at Airscale is a good friend of the channel, and he's actually sent me the correct ones. A bit too late, but we've got the correct ones here. So we've got World War II Allied placard decals, and that, I believe, no, I was thinking that was an A20, it's not. But basically this is for all the US and English aircraft. So you can see we've got the placard decals there, and that is product AS32 PLA. And then here we have Royal Air Force instrument dial decals. As you know, I've been using US Air Force ones, and we've got all our compasses and everything there, so you got all the correct instruments for your Lancaster there. So that one's AS32 RAF-A. So there we are. Go and get yourself some of those. Right, so we've done this now. So we've got this Sexton box ready to paint. That's going to be the red. This is going to be the bronze, the brass. This here, the black, the bulkhead, which is the main bit of it. We've done that, and that's ready to paint up in the green. We've got the box there. That's going to be done in the rubber black, and then we've got the parachute box there. That's going to be done in the green, and I've got the parachute over there separate, and that's going to be getting a brown on the wash. So moving on now to pack 10. Here are the parts. So pack 10 consists of the table. So we've got the table here, we've got an upright, we have some bits and pieces, we have some bits and pieces for the floor, and then we have this unit here which is our fish pond. So we're not going to be using that. Fish pond was not in the Dam Busters. This panel here, 10D, they're calling it an air position indicator. That would have been there. That's going to have a decal in it. So on this one here, you can see we've got a raised area there where the fish pond indicator would have gone. Well, we want to get rid of that because we don't have it. So that was basically a raised platform to keep so the radio, the unit was sat on an angle. So I am going to see if I can, with a knife, just steadily cut this away. Maybe better off with cutters. Just basically cut this lump off. Like so. Probably better off with a knife now. We'll come down and we'll slice this off somehow. Don't leave too much for sanding. Okay, so that's that pretty much all sliced off. I think I'm going to try one of my glass files on here to see how it does. See how it does it removing. I'm hoping we can get away without having to fill a great big square. We may end up with, we're obviously going to have the two holes, but if we can get away with not having to put a great big square of plastic hardener, that would be better. These glass files are wonderful. As you can see, I'm rubbing around here and all it's doing is polishing where the area is flat, but it will only remove the raised area. And it's taking forever. You can see how it's polishing the plastic. That looks like glass. I'll go on, carry on getting this done, and then I'll come back when it's done. You don't want to watch me sit here sanding this, do you? I could get a coarser stick, I suppose, and come in with a coarser stick. just to remove most of it and then finish off with this perhaps. Yeah, I'll see you in a minute when I've got this done. Okay, so there we go. You can see basically that is all gone now. And we're left with no holes and no flat bit to fill in. Don't push too hard because it's probably very thin there. In fact, I've held up to the light. Yes, it is. It's very thin, but it'll be absolutely fine. So that's all good. I've just gone around the edge of the table with the file as well because there's some sort of rough, flashy bits on there just to clean off, just to try and improve the look. It's nice they've got this gauge here. You can see the gauge and the gauge part at the back. This is the only Dam Buster model in existence that has this gauge. I'm sure it's not included in the border model kit. I stand to be corrected. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you certainly get it with the fish cop set. So we have that table there done now. That's all ready to go. I would normally go around and do wood graining and stuff, but I'm not going to bother on this one. But for a couple of reasons. Is we don't have time, and two, you remember these aircraft were pretty much new when they went on the raid, so they wouldn't have been extremely weathered. There would have been some scratching or whatever on the floor, but nothing much. But you know, as we don't have rivet detail and all that on our floor, then I'm not going to fuss. But here we've got some mould seams just to get rid of. It's just good practice to do that. I'm going to get a soft sponge just to finish that off, just like so. As we're repainting everything, we may as well, you know, if you're not doing this modification work, then don't worry about it, leave them there. But if you are, you may as well, let's get into that corner with a file. If you're repainting anyway, you may as well remove the seam lines, haven't you? There we are. So that's ready to paint. So we'll grab a couple of our clips, and then that's going down into the floor, so that can be clamped in there. So that's going to be green. The table's going to be green, so we can clamp that under there. Put that over there ready to go. Now then, we've got all this stuff here. So those boxes there can remain black. This one here, we have a mould seam on there, on that back edge, so that could go. Again, we have a mould seam down the side, we have a mould seam all along the bottom. There's an edge on there, there's an edge on there. And we have a mould seam in here which will affect its fit, how flush it goes down. So we'll just get rid of that. Okay, and that is all the parts for pack 10. I'm not sure where that unit there actually goes. Okay, that's for the navigator, that's going at the back of the table. So we'll just leave that colour. I have a feeling actually this bottom part here should be green. That's going to fit into, let's take this off of there. That's going to fit into there. Yeah, I have a feeling this lower part here should be green, I think. So I think what we'll probably do is get some masking tape, a piece of 10mm masking tape, and we will mask off this unit. I'm going to push the masking tape down into that little valley underneath it. then fold it down over the top. So that's that done. So that's all properly masked, just like so. And then that can go into there. And I'm going to grab my extra thin quick setting. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. That was a dog barked outside. How dare they? There we go again. So there we are. There's a table with that gauge glued on the back, all masked up, ready for some green paint. So you'll see here that what I'm doing, I'm darting about. I'm doing bits of 9 and bits of 10. As you can see here, Jess is being good as gold. We also see here we've got this support here being fitted to the table, so I'm going to fit that now, because basically we can glue it in place and then paint it all as one. And when you can paint, if you can paint as much as you can as one, it's always better. So that's going to go into there. Good girl, Jess. You stay quiet. Okay. Now she's not going to last much longer. I'm going to remove some paint from here to make it easier to go in, and also help the glue work better, or the cement should I say. So that's gone in there. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to put some of the extra thin quick setting. I'm using the quick setting because it's a hotter glue. It works better with these harder plastics. I got a feeling this is like an ABS material. So we can see after it's all painted that how it holds. Make sure it's square to the table. Okay. So yeah, we'll give that a few minutes and then we'll see if it comes apart. See if it is taken or not. So that could go over there. These here, no problem at all. They can just go into the floor. So that's all that done. So that's part 10. Now let's have a look at pack 11. Top back on that glue so we're not breathing it in. Pack 11, it's quite busy. So here's the parts. Here are the parts, should I say. Okay, so we've got the bulkhead there with the little detail on there. Now then we have what was going to be the G unit was going to go there, so we're going to get rid of that raised detail on there, and then is it all 4 of those that were taken up with this? Of course, this is the navigators. This is the wireless operator's side, isn't it? This is the wireless operator's side. This is the navigator's side. So we've got ejector pin marks. We've got those 2 lugs to get rid of. So we'll get rid of those. Goodbye. Goodbye. Okay, so we're going to have some filling to do. Just going to slice these away like so. How are we doing for time? Okay, I'm going to make this basically like an hour long like I always do, and then we'll just finish off this part of the model in the next part, in part 9. So we've lost the synergy now between the pack numbers and the video number. I'm just going to scrape away this ejector pin. Might get this magazine out of the way because it messes up everything, doesn't it? Scrape that, scrape that, scrape that one there, so we can get rid of that. As I say, some Lancasters had another radio on this side. Another one of these mounted there, but we don't have another one of those, so we're not going to fit anything. But quite a lot of them had absolutely nothing here at all. So it's fine to leave this bare, but we do need to fill those holes. I need to fill that hole there as well, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Swipe some more of that away. I could really do with a new sanding stick, to be honest, because that one really has had it. This is a UMP one, these are very good. Right, so that's all done. If you remember, this piece we cut off the forward bulkhead. This here, we can fill that hole. The reason that hole is there, it's part of the moulding process. If they didn't have that hole there, because you have such a thick section of plastic on this part here, you would end up with a great big sink mark. So they put a hole there so you don't get the sink. So that will actually go in there. So what we can do is put some extra thin in here, and then force that into there. Then we can cut that off, let the glue dry, and that is our hole filled. Okay, that's that done. And then these here, these two, just put some super glue over them. Okay, and I'm going to put some over this as well, just to seal any gaps that might be there. And I'm going to get a drop of accelerator just to speed things up, because this isn't structural. I don't like using accelerator, but I will on filled holes if I have to, purely for speed, no other reason. So there we go. So that's that bulkhead taken care of. And then once that glue's dry, we can get all that sanded nice and flat. Looking in here, we are moving along. We've had this unit here going in the top of that bulkhead. This here we're not doing any of that. We're doing this actually, because that's the radio gear. So they're going to go on the back of there. We've got this piece here, which is the seat support, that's going to go into there. So we may as well glue that in now. We've got the seat going to be going on. So the seat support, in fact, I want to take some time. We've got mould seams on here. You can see we've got mould seam down there. So I'm going to take some time to get rid of all that. We've got a seam around there as well. So we'll get rid of all that, make it all look a bit prettier. And then I'll do the same on this one. And we're going to get that glued in, the seat support, get that glued into there. Okay, so back to the magazine for part 11. So you can see we've done all that work now, we've got all that prepared. What I've actually done here, I've glued that seat support in, filled the holes at the back with super glue and sanded them out. You'll also see I've added a piece of white plastic card, or I managed to get it a bit cocked, so that I've had to fill that corner with black super glue. That's just basically a piece of 1.5mm plastic card and then sanded down. This is about 1.3mm thick. So that's basically blocking off the hole. If we look at the table, we can see on the table that when this goes on, that's basically going to fit like that, and you can see that's where the fish pond was. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I was tempted to fit this to the table now, but it's such a tight fit I don't think it's going to need gluing. So I'm going to fit it. I'm going to fit it to the table when we're ready, and I'll probably put some glue on from behind, because I want to make sure. I mean, I suppose I could really do that now, couldn't I? What I could do is fit this in place. God, blimey, that's tight. I could fit this in place and then make sure it's all right. That is so tight, we're not going to get any glue in there. So what I'm going to do is see if I can get this out. I'm probably going to snap the pin off if I'm not careful. So let's see if I can find something to push it out from this side without snapping the table in half. Nice, please. No, that is not going to go. And if I keep trying, I am going to snap that pin off, I'm sure. And if I snap that pin off, I'll lose all the location. It has come out and it hasn't snapped. Right, so I'm going to open that hole up a bit. What's the size of that pin? It has 1.53. So if I take a 1.5mm drill, stick it in there. Yeah, it's taken some material out, and we'll just give it a bit of a twizzle. What I do want to do, the thing is like I said earlier, sub-assemblies is always great. The least parts you glue together after paint, the better. Now you've got this sort of map pocket thing here is raised above the surface, so I'm just going to trim that down because it's making, we've got a gap between the dog's barking again. Hopefully Jess will not react. So that's quite a little lump on there, but get rid of that. Okay, that's better. And you can also see that there's a square hole, a rectangular hole there in the table that the fish pond went into. I've also filled that with a piece of plastic as well and super glued, just sanding it flat. So there you can see that's fitting in there lovely now. Okay, so I want that to be on the table, nice and square. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll grab a rule. We can use a rule as a square. In fact, I know the end of this rule is not square, so I'm going to grab my square, wherever it may be. Here it is. And we should be able to use... No, we can't get in there, can we? Oh. I guess I'm just going to have to eye it up. I'm going to put a drop of extra thin in the bottom. Let that capillary up. So that should hold that in position. Just like so. Check if it's square that way. That's all good. We could just have a quick look on the cockpit floor because those two pins are that perfect. So that's all good. Right, so that needs to be parallel with that one. That will sort all itself out when we get it glued together. What I might just do is I really want to check this is square on here. I think I'll leave it unglued. I'll just have it glued in at one point and then it's easily manipulatable. Is that a word? There we go. So we've got an assembly there of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts that's all going to be painted in one. So that's And the beauty of that is, you see, we can assemble those parts, paint them, and then we don't have to worry about glue marks. Whereas if we glued all this after, I'd be worried now about marking the paint on the tables. But now I'm not worried about it, because we're going to be painting all together. So there we are. So that's our clean bulkhead. I've put this piece on at the top here. That would have been green, and then we've got the two little details on there we'll paint in. This side, we've got the radios going on. I'll repaint that in black. We've got the Morse code thing there. I'll paint that in black. So there we are. So we've got a flat table, no fish pond, no hole, and back to dambuster status. So guys, I am going to call it a day for this video here, because we've been about 50 odd minutes, I think. And as you remember from pack 10, we had to go in and put these boxes in the floor. I'm not going to do that now. We'll do that in the next video. I'm not going to repaint them or anything, because they're absolutely fine as they are. The radios for the wireless operator, they had a seam line on them, so I've gone around and sanded the seam line off. So I'll paint these now with rubber black LP65, and I'll paint them this way so the paint doesn't get over the fronts. And I'll give them a dry brushing as well to highlight the corners and everything. So we're going to be doing some painting offline, and then I'll come back when it's all done, and we'll have part 9, and then we can get all this assembled, and then we can really start to push on, because once we've done this and we've finished off pack 11, as you can see here, it's all going to be built up beautifully. What I do want to do on this floor before we go any further is tap some threads, because as you know, I haven't put the tutorial out yet for beginners, but there is a tutorial going out. You know, cut the threads in the parts before you start the assembly, because you get the swarf and everything. So I'm going to tap the threads in there, so we'll have to look forward and see what threads are going to have to be. So that'll be all done in part 9, and then, as I said, by the end of part 9 our model will look something like this, only more accurate, because that'll be there and that's in the bin, and this will be red and that'll be copper or brass. We don't have the fish pond, we don't have that there, so it's all going to look great. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon for part 9, and stay safe, happy modelling, and here you are, just one more look at that. There you go. There you go. So lovely. Right, I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.